I'm gonna wait just a second until I start seeing myself on the trading view screen. Here we go. We're up and running. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into today's session, the Chart Mastery. Still waiting on the YouTube stream to catch up. It's saying I'm live. I don't see myself. It says we're watching now. It should be just pushing right off the trading view page. Anyways, enough rambling. I believe we're live. Let me know in the comments if you're having trouble seeing the stream. We're gonna start with BTC, and then after I cover BTC, I've got an awesome announcement for everybody. Right, something I've been working on, put together, and it's finally up. I've been talking about it for weeks, and yeah. So I want to start off by saying I'm a little disappointed in missing a 61.8. Right, where this chart turned. And according to some of the Fib methods that I use, right, we definitely had a 61.8 move, and I feel like we haven't. If you guys have been tuning into these streams, I have not changed my BTC extension schematic since weeks, since here, right, before we even got up here. I've had the same chart. Now, and the move I'm talking about that I'm disappointed that I missed starts over here, right? I talk about Fib retest, right? And here we have a retest on the 4 hour, on the daily, and so forth. And it ends up here, right? A little bit of a blow off. Now, if we were to Fib that, right? Because, I mean, that was the breakout. We had a breakout up here. It didn't fully retest that quote-unquote bull flag, right? We had a breakout of this formation. It's consolidation, not really a bull flag, but close to it, right? And the retest wasn't at the flag break. It was actually at this Fib level of 47,118, right? Now, if we were to draw a retracement from here, from this little wick low, right at that range, and take it all the way to the very top, right, we'd get a 61.8, right? Or yeah, we totally got that move. It's still above. It's slightly above. Well, I'm not really matched up with my wicks. Slightly above, but I mean, why did we find support here? That's definitely one of the valid reasons, right? And lots of support. So, for now, I think this move is sustainable to the upside, right? Like, there were a little bit of a dip we saw. I mean, it looked like a big down candle. I didn't quite measure it on BTC. I know alts, like, hit the pretty bad, man. They got wrecked. Yeah, 15%. I mean, that's normal in BTC. We've seen 50% crashes and stuff. And then if we add some moving averages, some of us trade the 70 EMA right on the daily, and that gave us support on Litecoin, but BTC actually smacked below it. Let's go to the daily, right, and it's acting as support. So that's good. We should see continuation. It was definitely a wick below and a close above, right? So we should see some kind of continuation. Now, before I try to think that we're gonna get a short position in on BTC, I want to highlight the possible swings, right? Like, where can we see possible rejection? There's possibly a swing here, and the first area that you want to pay attention to in terms of resistance is going to be 58,934, right? We want to see that act as support. We don't want to see the chart fail there. And we definitely don't want to see it fail right now at 58,306. That would be another 50%. When was the last time we saw 50%? Last time we saw 50% bear retrace. It's kind of up here. We never got to 61.8, right? And then we had the big down. We also saw one on the previous meltdown over here, right? When I said this looks pretty bearish. Now, ideally, we want to see price get up. I'm going to drop some price tags so we don't lose them. So we want to see a move to 58,963. We also want to see, once that acts as support, the next level of resistance can be 62, right? That would be the next 61.8 swing. And the following one is going to be a little higher, right? It's taking that big swing. So I think, if somebody has longs, they're thinking about profit taking them. Next one's going to be 63,900, right? So those are going to be the three levels I'm going to look to interact with BTC if I wanted to take out a short. And I'm going to monitor them to see what volume's doing there. before just blindly like shorting, right? In terms of support, I think we found it, right? I think we found it at the 61.8. If you do get another dip back down to that zone, that previous low should hold, right? It should be intact, right? Worst case, 55.446 should act as support for now. So I do see today's move continuing up. Fingers crossed, right? We can't be too optimistic on these things. We know market's been volatile, but luckily, you know, a couple streams ago last week, I highlighted that, hey, we're possibly seeing a top. My Monday stream was super bearish, ultra bear. I called things out just how I see them and not how I wanted them to play out, right? Every alt we looked at was bearish. I'd appreciate today if we get a bunch of alt suggestions. I love looking at you guys' charts, and a lot of times we get really good trade ideas of what you guys show me and recommend. And yeah, so you can drop me a comment in the TradingView chat, drop me a comment in the YouTube chat, and we'll get going. So this is all I have for BTC right now, right? We got to knock out these three levels: 58K, 62K, and 64K, right? We have the chart has got to get up there before we see any kind of bullish continuation. And to see like a dip like this one, you know, that's good, right? It flushes out leveraged longs, it traps bears, you know, a lot happens on these moves. And generally we do want to see the chart break down before going higher, right? Like that's something that I always talk about, right? Like we saw something like this develop where it broke down, destroyed that range and moved on up, right? And before this breakout, we had a shakeout. So a shakeout before a breakout is healthy, and it trips people out. And then people that sold the dip come back in and buy higher, right? All right. That covers BTC. Moving on to my announcement, I've talked about hosting a Fib workshop, right? So everything I know about Fibs, including what we just learned, right? Like sometimes you want to take these intra Fib moves on a breakout to get a retracement, like 61.8 we got today, right? I'm going to be talking about in my workshop. I'm going to drop a link to this in the comment box. Actually, just DM me. You want a link? Shoot us a DM on TradingView. Drop a comment on TradingView or on YouTube, and I'll drop you that link. You know, I'll DM you that link. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop that into one of the chats for now. All right, moving on. Let's look at Ether. I think it's gonna be following BTC, right? It should be following the steps at BTC. And I believe this was the last extension we liked to Fib over here. And are we getting a similar move, right? So, I mean, that would be the swing low retest. Was that a 61.8? Potentially. I'd say so. It was a little lower, right? But now we're seeing Ether rebound again. I'd like to see a continuation. The next 61.8 on Ether looks a little different than BTC, right? Just because we don't have like a 3-tier leg down. It was almost like a single. So the first one I'd want to look at is 44.65, and the next one's gonna be probably just a little higher at 45.20. Right, so these are gonna be the two levels on Ether that if I want to take out a short on those, that would be where I'm gonna play around. All right, next step. Let's look at Litecoin. I mentioned LTC bounced right off that EMA that we like to use. I mentioned it earlier in the chat or in the stream, right? We were talking about this EMA in our Discord. And I mean, this dip was a little like scary to buy, right? Because I mean, it was tough. Like I had my Litecoin short, and my target was 233, and we just kept coming down lower and lower and lower and lower, right? And then it held up on that moving average. And as we see, like last night, I think it was like 1 a.m. over here. You know, I was looking at the daily chart, and I'm like, man, I got to put in at least a small long on high leverage, because if we do get that run, you know, I want to be in right here, sit back and do nothing. So we could very much see a bounce, like a strong bounce, possibly continuation. I'm not going to promise that until we see what happens with the previous 61.8s on BTC, on Ether, even Litecoin. Before we see that, once again, I'm not being optimistically bullish. I don't do that. You know, Monday I was really bearish, especially after you guys showed us all your alts. You know, last Wednesday I was super bear over here. I said, hey, this is the top. We did the same thing on Link USD, right? I literally signaled 2 shorts right in the middle of the stream because they were bearish 61.8 retracements, and wham bam, right? Like 37 hit, and that was, I said, hey, this is where we want to hedge, and then we got those big moves down. So yeah, if you guys want to learn how to do this, right, how to get these proper 61.8 so you can short, right? Check out that workshop. Yeah, Zero's in the chat. What's up, bud? Zero's one of our admins at Coin OBS. Not very active, but he is. When he pops in, it means something big's about to happen in the market. All right, I'm gonna cover the QQQ, the S&P, and then we'll dive into you guys' altcoin suggestions. Hope you guys have a long list of alts for us. I still have this squeaky drawing, right? I'm looking for some gap fills. on the S&P. I don't know when they're gonna come, but you know, we look at, it looks like it's blowing off again, right? We do have, I think the 1.618 target is right overhead. We did see some resistance there. VIX was, or not VIX, but ES was acting all crazy. Let's go to that. Like yesterday was a pump. Today it sold off, and now it's possibly doing a 61.8. So I'm just gonna get rid of the MA. Maybe go to the hourlies because some of you guys laugh at the 5-minute chart, even though I really like it for getting nitpick entries and looking at what's happening with candles and rejection and such. So we're at the 61.8 right now on the ES of that move, right? So whether we're going to see continuation or not, it needs to happen. This should be a decisive candle. This hourly candle should be very decisive on ES, right? S&P futures. It totally should. Just like what we saw here, right? Just like that candle was decisive, and these two closers were decisive of, hey, no, bears are going to be in control for a little bit. This one wicked higher, but you know, this was the clear, beautiful buy some puts, and then we bought the puts and we came down, and then here we got out of these puts and I said, hey, close out the puts, guys, because we're going up. So now I want to see what happens here, and this is ES live, right? So I pay for the trading view setup to be able to get live futures. They're not delayed. So you want to see what this candle does. Yeah, uncertainty around the Fed chair, right? I don't know if J-Powell is going to lose his pose. I don't. I try to just stay objective, Zero. I try to just stick to the charts, right? I mean, if we get a 61.8 here, I already have some VIX. Like VIX was moving with ES, and now it's like coming back down. TLT was getting some movement, right? So some of the hedge plays are getting movement. I signaled TLT for February today at like 158, right? Should get up to 157, 158 at some point. And I went with February calls just because it gives us time, and I started that position, so it's not a big commitment just yet. All right, let's look at the QQQ. Tech was raging higher, right? It's broken through the 1.618, so I mean we could see the ES go up, right? I might be wrong about the ES revisiting previous supports, right? Or coming in and checking out the gaps on the S&P. Like if you look at SPY, you know, we've got a lot of, you know, not a lot, we got a few gaps. We got a gap up over here. And that's what I was thinking we're going to do something like we did in September 2020. Not this circle, but one of these guys. So the ES could blow off, right? S&P can blow off. Hopefully VIX blows off with it and we come back down and fill some of these gaps, right? And that's what happened in September. That's August, yeah. That's the September crash, September meltdown. So I'd like to see something like that at some point to come down and fill these two gaps. What was the extension for this one? What range was extended? And see how far up it ran. I think the last one we can try to use is, this blow off was out of nowhere. I think I was going for like a 367 target, right? But we never got up there. So this was kind of an anomaly in my book, unless it was a COVID extension. Actually, no, this is how we got that target. This was a hindsight target, right? Because you're trying to figure out why it turned there, and it was 352, which is where this pivot started, extended down to COVID low. I can't see the same like type fib setup here, so I'm just gonna stick to what I'm seeing on the previous extension. So I want to see what happens at 471, if bulls can push through it or not. All right, so that covers S&P, QQQ, BTC, Litecoin, Ether, a little bit of Link. Now I'm ready for you guys. Show me some of your tickers. What do you guys want me to look at? Altcoins, shitcoins. One of the signals I posted, man, it did a really nice move, right? That Algo USD move that we got in on that dip, and I hit like all targets and went way above my targets, right? And it looks like it's going back up. So Algo's doing pretty good. And you know, the reason I started looking at this chart is because one of you guys in chat and during the stream dropped it for us, right? And we traded it successfully up to here and like took some profits, and then it dived and took another dive, and we got in over here, and it did this mega move overnight. We're trading this one on leverage, right? So this was a huge move, and it got sold off. 70% move in like one candle. Freaking wow. All right, you guys, show me some tickers. Let me look at Ripple. I like what XRP's doing. It's currently below RMA. I want to see it close above. What about 61.8? It's basically there, right? It's basically at the 61.8. I want to see what happens at 1.105. And I'm going to go ahead and make that an alert for me just so I can keep an eye on it. You guys, thank you for the suggestions. That's what I'm talking about. Firing up the chat. Thank you, all of you. All right, let's get into Avax. The freaking mooner, man. This one's looking good still. I think last stream I wasn't so bullish on it. I can't quite remember what my consensus was. Let me look up like just a different chart. Maybe this one still has my fibs. No, nada. All right, let's go to the daily. Where are we extending to? Beautiful support at 91, right? Like, you know, bears trying to beat down through 91. 1, 2, 3 got below, got pushed back up, and then these last two turns, right, just bulls kept pushing up. So it's got support. I think like 141 should be the next target on this one. Let me add a extension of this last range. Beautiful support above 98. I think 127 to 141. Can you guys see that? You can see that. Those are going to be my next two targets on Avax. Who's hitting us up? Can I get trial before subscription? Yep. If I'm streaming, I'm probably not going to give you access during the stream. I'll give you access right after the stream because it opens up our source code. We don't want to do that. All right. Let's look at OGN. USDT. It's holding above our critical MA, right? Let me see what's going on here in terms of retracements. I think if it gets above 1.12, right? That's not what I was trying to do. If it gets above 1.12 and $1.125, right? That's gonna get it up to going again. And this, I mean, it looks like it likes to do a channel, right? Where's our parallel channel tool, right? And it likes to, like, you know, we're seeing wicks above, so I would go with the closes. I think the next move could lead to like 1.6 if it does get above 1.25. Now, in terms of the larger swing, like where would this want to go to before thinking we're going to the moon? It's 225, right? So I feel like in terms of targets, I'd look at here. I'd probably like a wick to 1.6 and it would sell back into this channel. That's just based on what it's been doing, right? We see the wick can close, and then same thing on the bottom. All right, let's look at Riot. Riot blockchain. Beautiful MA hold, right? Looks like a 61.8. It is a 61.8, right? Let's go on to this one. Yeah, let's take, we could take the lowest swing, which will give us a better overview. Now, what about the top, right? What has happened? How did we get where we got? And that's what's more important right now with a chart like Riot. Was that last rejection of 61.82, right? Was it a bearish 61? So we're gonna take this last swing high over here, right? Drop down to the last swing low. Would you look at that, right? So at this point, so yeah, if you guys want to learn how we get these turns up here, this is the same classic move as we saw as Litecoin, same classic move as we saw on Link, right? Where it made me want to short last week. You know, had I seen that on Riot when it was doing it, I would have probably bought puts too, right? If you want to learn how to get this, let me know. Drop us a DM, or, you know, just let us know you want the link to the workshop. Actually, I'm just gonna drop it in. I'll drop it in the Trading View chat. It's 3 hours, right? Click by click. It's a Zoom workshop. There's a webinar and there's a live Zoom workshop while I'm doing an in-person class. So a lot of answers are gonna be questions. A lot of questions are gonna be answered. All right, back to Riot. We want to see 32 hold as support, right? We want to see that. And then I think if cryptos keep going up, the next possible, there's only 2 possible pivots over here now, right? So if cryptos keep going up, 40 is going to be the next target, right? And once it gets above 45, then we're going to go into a larger term 61.8 retracement, which is going to be 57. And once we do get that close above 57, then I think we can go, you know, Riot can go on a run. All right. I got Zeros requesting INTU and NVDA. INTU into it. Jeez, man, we got a gapper. Oh, you know, I don't like chasing. I like buying dips. So look at that, man. Right at 706, rejecting up there. I mean, somebody tell me fibs don't work, and I'm gonna prove you wrong, right? I mean, I like these opportunities. I like these retest opportunities. I don't like buying high. I don't like doing that. Is that what's moving the QQQ today into it? Is that part of the QQQ? All right, where can we get a retest? Where can we get an entry for a long-term type move? You know, yeah, we got dual resistance here, so I'd look for a pullback if we're gonna get one. When are earnings? Earnings in February, so I'd wait for this one to cool off. It is basically at target. Yeah, I mean, long-term entry would be something like COVID crash or a fib retest. I would wait for a retest of like 624 or 503, right? Just like retracing previous extensions. That would be my classic move, especially in today's market, right? I mean, yeah, cryptos are different, but I mean, just talking about ADA weeks ago, right? And I was saying, hey, this thing's gonna retrace extensions at some point. And USD, let's do this chart, right? It was gonna retrace, and like we saw, I pulled it from a stream on like November 3rd, right? I mean, I was talking about how I was waiting for a few possible setups on ADA before I play with it, and I tried to signal it yesterday. We got stopped. If you guys got back in, right, it's like at 171. That was perfect, and that was retracing extensions. There's also a 61.8 that I tried to signal, but it did wick below. Are we getting the close above? I think it was like 180 was the close. Yeah, so we got that wick below. It's definitely closing and pushing back up above. So we want to see 1.09. I want to see that close above it. Back to INT. So that's what I would wait for, right? And the reason I was bringing up this example is because November 3rd, you know, people are like, what about ADA? I'm like, I'd wait for like a 61.8 or a retest lower, and I had literally had like 171 for a target. All right, let's look at NVDA. I wouldn't chase a gap up, man. It could, like, one bad article can send a stock chart not into an abyss, but you know, it could create some liquidity. I'd wait for a liquidity event and not just like throw cash at it. Now NVDA is doing something different, right? Where 312 was an extension and now it's gapping up above. I still wouldn't chase it. If you're going for just like a spot trade on a tight stop, I mean, you could put your stop at like 312 or like 310 or 284. It's not really that tight at this point, right? And but I think if Nvidia gets going, we're going to 508. So on that ETH proof of stake, yeah, if this blows off to 508, I mean, just take some profits, right? Or trail that stop to like 312. That's what I would do. With the ETH going to proof of stake, man, like a lot of miners are already starting to switch to Raven. I think we're gonna see a big move in Raven, and that's why one of my biggest shitcoin bags right now. It's not really shitcoin, like one of my biggest altcoin bags. I don't be derogatory on a project that I like. All right, 3 to 6 months. What else do we have? Filecoin. Man, I tried some Filecoin longs, and they had target, and now it like got wrecked a little bit. Super got wrecked. Was it here that we took it? No. I mean, last week we were long on this and we got stopped out and haven't bought the dip again. This one's tricky. Let me all right, here we go. We got a swing. We can fib it. I mean, is it a surprise that 48 held up? I don't think so. I think next move, I think the market will take file very seriously to the upside if we break above 61.61. Right? I'm going to add an alert here. That would be the 61.8 of this swing, and we would see maybe a retest here and a run, right? 75. This was looking super strong over here. That's where we had it, right? It was looking super strong on this break because the rest of the market was looking shaky. But if we're going to see continuation from what we saw previously, Cooley, I covered XRP. You could just rewind back a little bit. I covered XRP before going on other alts. Yeah, I think 61.61 should get a good continuation move. All right, DOT. Let's do USD Polkadot. I don't like the BTC chart. I mean the Coinbase chart. There we go. So much more data to play with, right? We're going to take this previous swing. We're going to draw a schematic like we did BTC. And we're holding above 41, right? So if we're going to get continuation, and we went in on this puppy, right? This is a good dip to buy. Like stop at 38.46. Doesn't seem like that high risk of a move, right? From 42 to 38. And I think if this is gonna swing, which it could, right? This is a pretty good mover. I think 48's gonna be target 1. And if we get that close above, I like this. I'm gonna pop this up on my notepad. I like this chart. If I'm taking notes on a chart, it means I like it, right? If I like it, it means I'm probably gonna trade it or look for an opportunity, just like what we did with Algo, just like we did with Filecoin. We did a few others, and I think that 59 to 64 range would be a good target. Joanne, thank you. All right, you guys still got time. We got plenty of time. It's 1:30. Sometimes you keep me busy for an hour on these streams. So I'm going to wait till you guys show me some tickers. I'm going to turn around, look behind me at my tickers, and hopefully you guys got some suggestions for me. If not, we're probably going to wrap it up. So oh, interesting. I like to admit when I prematurely short something, right? And I'm gonna talk about that and why I went wrong and why I'm short again, and where I would stop shorting. We'll look at Visa next. I want to cover this scenario. I want to cover all you guys' questions, but I brought this up because I was wrong, and I like to admit that, right? If you don't admit your wrongs, then yeah. I don't know why you're trading. So what I originally saw on Lucid, it was pre-earnings. I knew it was going to be bad earnings, and it hadn't tanked yet, right? And the earnings were pretty bad, right? Negative 69, and then negative 81, right? So I shorted 46, right? And then on earnings, it popped up. And I shouldn't have shorted before earnings. But I figured if it was going to dump after, it was going to be really violent, right? And I should have considered a violent bull trap scenario a little better. So what I ended up doing again is reshorting the 61.8, the minor one on this move, right? And my stops are like 54. At this point, you guys see I like sell puts, like pretty much to get out of my puts or start getting out of my puts. So I'm back short on Lucid. I think this was a bull trap. I hope this was a bull trap for me. I don't know why I like shorting these hype charts, because when they come down, it's violent and I kind of get rugged. And it's also like, this is a fairly new chart, right? We do see, I don't know if they have like warrants to exercise and stuff. Should look into that a little bit more. But if we do see a pullback, I'm targeting 36, and I'd probably long 36, right? So I'd love to short from 50 all the way down to 36 with puts. That's like 100 to 1 exposure. All right. The EV play I did was QS, and it ran in the money, and we sold it right up here, and then bam, and now it's down. I'm looking for re-entry. I don't think it's ready. We had $40 calls that expired today, but we sold them like, I was selling on the way up, and on that blow off I sold the rest, and I said, hey, let's wait, and then once we get our re-entry, we're gonna target like 51, right? So I'm still waiting to reshop that on some of these late entries to market in terms of EV. All right, I gotta catch up on some of you guys' question. If you can, what is your opinion of Apple if it closes above 157.7? Thank you. Radu, this one's for you. Coolly, I'll cover GLCH next. So let's look at Apple. Man, fucking running. Excuse my French, sorry. Apple got stuck at that 150, 152 range for a hot minute, right? And then it started. Geez, I didn't look at Apple the last few days. I had we shorted 150 before earnings and we got out and it did this chomp. I was shorting at 61.8. Now it's above it, right? So when something gets above that 61.8, we want to look for continuation. And that's why I talk about the 61.8 a lot. I think 162 is the next target, right? In terms of trading options, is it going to blow up higher? I mean, the holidays are coming up. People love iPhones. I don't know what they have in terms of AR, VR, Meta, and stuff. I haven't kept up with news on Apple. But in terms of charts and targets, I think we can look out for 162 to be the next target. And on a larger swing, 174. So looking at .USD, isn't more recent price action important? It is, but this is the recent that I'd look at, right? This last swing. And then in terms of continuation, I went off this because when we see one of these moves, right, you want to see how compliant this chart has been. And if we want to assume that more recent price action is going to be more important, what does the more recent chart say that's different? Absolutely not much, right? It gives us a resistance of 50, right? And then we get up into the 61 to 64 range again, right? So when I mentioned that 58 to 64, 59 to 64, right? I mean 61 is right in between. And we're above this most recent 61.8 at 34, and so yeah, the last thing would be the previous high, and that's why I didn't really look at that swing just in terms of where we were. That's a very valid question, right? And it would be very much more valid a few months ago when we saw this retest, right? When we saw a retest at 34, that was the last 61.8 before entering a new swing. RK Guli, do you have a Fib workshop coming up? There's a link in the TradingView chat right above that I posted. So if you want to join that workshop and learn how I do this all the time, it's a 3-hour workshop on basically everything I know about Fibs. All right, GLCH glitch. Oh man, that's a swap token. I don't do the swaps. It's going off this high. I don't like the listing high, right? I want something that the market established. And here we do see resistance, right? We see Fib compliance. That's what I call it. When the chart sticks to the Fibs, we have these wicks below, close below, right? Support. I definitely look for a hold at 173, right? This should hold on another retest. If we do get an upwards continuation, I'd want to see 2.46, right? As target 1. And then if it does breach above, then we can look at 3. 3.3. And I'm just going to give 2 targets. I'm not going to give you guys moon targets. I just want to give you guys an idea of what to look out for, just like what we did on Link and Litecoin last week. Let's look at Rivian. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Nat Gas. Okay, let's go Visa, Nat Gas. I love you guys' energy and participation and all your ticker shows. All right. So PayPal's dumping, Visa's dumping, a lot of payment gateways, payment settlement platforms are dumping. What about Stripe? Or Square, sorry, Square. Square's holding the line, right? But if you look at PayPal, in the shitter. Excuse my French. So I think Zero asked me about PayPal before I started streaming. I said I'd want to look for a counter at 187. Before we get down there, I'm not touching it. So this is possibly a good buy opportunity. This is why it's good to like have cash instead of chasing something that just gapped up and like counter something that's on sale. All right, they can short squeeze. All right, something that's oversold. They say buy low, sell high. Not buy high, sell higher. Let's look at UNG. Let's look at Visa. The whole payment processing is what made me want to look at PayPal, especially after the Visa wreck. So Visa's down. It's extending 1.618 off that last range. That's pretty extreme, right? That's pretty extreme. Let me look at the daily chart. This is tricky. This one's going to be tricky to get a 61.8 because there's basically a few swing lows. But being here at 200, I'm going to leave this fib setup here, right? And this is extending this last blow off. What we're going to do is I'm going to take this swing low. It's below the 61.8, right? And we can take the previous breakout swing low, and it's almost there. I mean, at this point, I feel like I'm trying to make the chart comply to get a bottom. So what I'd like to do is something different, just like what we did on the BTC 61.8 from today, using that same type of method. I'd say this is a decent swing because we did see a new extension move up here. So I think if 200 fails, if we get like a wick below and a close above and just start moving off 200, I'd want to, I think it's a good buy opportunity. If not, I think 194. I think 194 is a good place to play around with this one and try to get a good counter trade to BTFD. Man, Mohammed, I already covered ADA. I covered ADA. Visa, we did Apple. Nat Gas, UNG. So that's the thing about gas squeezes, right? When gas prices move up all crazy. This, you guys are in Discord, this top really remind me of this top. And some of you guys weren't trading this top. I shorted that one. That's when there was like UGAS and DGAS ETFs, right? When you could trade the 3x ETFs on gas. And like, we never really got to close above 37, right? On this range extension. I mean, we got one, but all the others were rejections. And there's probably a hidden 61.8 here on that last wick. I can just eyeball it, right? Never really got good closes above the 61.8. So that signaled a down move. What does that teach us on the current gas run, right? Now, yeah, things are different. Gas tends to be a little bit more seasonal. Doesn't like this fib. What if we go up here? Don't really have a 61. Geez, now I'm forcing this chart to play with me. I don't want to do that anymore. Need fresh perspective. Bam. All right, you got compliance. Right? This would have been the last swing. This is where we had a new move start. Right? We had a breakdown. We had a 61.8 failure. We had another 61.8 failure. You guys following me? Then we had this like bullish move above the 61. Then we had resistance and we had support. We had resistance and now we're at support, right? So I would look for 1620 to hold. If not, I'd buckle down some stops, man. Like I would, because then we can probably expect a deeper retrace. But I'd look for this low to hold. And if this is going to retrace back to the upside, where was this last move? This is where these things get tricky, right? Is when you get all these micro swings. This one didn't even get a 61.8. It was basically a little trap above it. But I think this was a 61.8, this last one. So yeah, like the only short signal I would have actually gotten was at 1949, right? I'm not going to say these were clear. And you only trade what you see, right? I mean, that's if you want to be efficient. So that being said, you know, I see two moves. I see one that starts up here. So if gas starts moving up again, you know, I'd look to see what happens at $18 or at that previous high of $18 from 18 to 18.11. Like these are the two levels I'd want to look out for, unless it moves up and just really gets severe rejection at 17.28 or 17.25. Then I think it's in trouble. Then I think, you know, buck down those stops. All right, let's slow down on chart requests until I ask for more. Please, guys, come. I get anxiety when there's a lot. Educative session so far. Thanks. Yeah, RK Ghoulie, glad you like it, man. That's what I try to do. That's why they're called chart mastery. Now, in my workshop, I'll talk about my settings, my levels, how to do everything. All right, let's go in RIVN, Rivian. Nice pullback, man. Beautiful pullback. This is one of these charts that's going to be hard to fib. I know how to get this top. Okay, let's do something. I don't like it. There's not enough swing data on here for me to really interact with it just yet. Like, where did we get this blow off from? Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense, right? We had a 1.6 and then a pullback. What's going on now? Man, it's already priced at 139. That's wild. All right. This looks like it's going up, right? This still looks like it's going to be an upwards continuation. I think a push above 140. We're in full send, right? We're in full send until 155, right? So I want to see 140 get tested. Not what I meant to do. I want to see 140 get tested. I want to see 155, 156 get tested before thinking this is going to moon, right? So my two targets are going to be, we're almost there at one of them. I'll just redraw it for everybody in here, and you guys can play around, right? So in my workshop, I'll talk about, you know, what scenario to where, you know, why you want to pick your swing highs where, and how to get compliance and not compliance or lack of. All right, SFP, I can't tell if that's a stock or, okay, there you go. Because some people use that abbreviation as a swing failure point. I don't know if you're talking technical lingo with me, technical jargon. Yeah, jargon. It's lingo, that's for sure. All right. I don't like this chart. I mean, it looks like a good buy the dip opportunity, right? But I mean, we look at this move up here, you know, this rejection from 2.6, and it was savage, right? That's what the market does at these 61.8 moves, and this one blew off past it. It was probably a low volume move. More anti-buyers and sellers can actually provide. So now we're seeing 1.39, right? 1.39, it's looking like it's acting as resistance. I'd want to see a close above here, some kind of retest for an up move before I think this is bullish. Now, what about this last micro swing, right? That's a very valid question. And I think if this goes up, you know, you could see a move to 1.5, and if it finds support at 1.39 after hitting 1.5, I think it's sustainable. If it shoots straight through, hey, you know, more power to you. All right. What do you guys have? Visa, Amazon banned in the UK. Wow, that's what I'm talking about, right? Just like when we're going looking at the Intuit chart, I'm like, hey, this thing's ripping. Like literally, one bad article can just dump something. Like a UK ban. You know, what if UK decides to ban Intuit? I don't even know if they're in there, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, don't just buy those gaps, man. Don't chase stops. But thank you, Zuri. Thanks everyone for tuning into today's session. You guys got me going for a whole 15 minutes. I want to thank everyone. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Once again, I'm going to drop that link again to the workshop. If you guys want and you want to learn some of my methods, the Fib method, it's literally like 2 clicks and you can read charts and get your pivots and stuff. Sorry to show that in the chat, but it's on. You need a TradingView account to do this in the first place, so you can follow along. And yeah, you guys, if you're in that workshop, you know where it is. It's on the 27th. It's a Saturday. It's literally like the time I start my normal streams, and it's 3 hours long. Answer all the questions. We go from start to finish. Other than that, hope everybody has a great weekend. You guys trade safe. Trail your stops. I tell my traders 2 things: live to fight another day, and live to die another day. And these are very valid when it comes to trailing your stops when a run goes in your favor. And just like 2 quick lessons, kind of get you guys going into the weekend like a good reflection, is your trades start going up in a profits, trail partial stops. Like do a quarter stop at the one swing low, and then it goes up again. Move that stop up a little. So make sure if we get a crash, liquidity move like we did on like we had LTC positions, we had link positions, and we hedged them, right? And then when they got stopped out, in profit. We hedged them up here. We shorted 295 on link. We shorted 20 to 37, right? 37.8. So you want to trail your stops up so you can live to fight another day. And live to die another day is don't overcommit. Like if something's going against you, don't just keep adding to that trade, averaging down. Especially if it's options or if it's leverage, because at some point you're gonna get liquidated. So you don't want to die today, right? You don't want to die tomorrow. So keep these 2 things in mind. And yeah, you guys hit up Zero for FA questions in Discord. Other than that, thank you guys for tuning in. Have a wonderful weekend. Trade safe. Trail your stops. Live to fight another day. And more questions.